This is Jordan Grace, and you're listening to the Social Suplex Podcast Network.
BWB, this is One Nation Radio. You better get it right. Rich Latta, James Boyd came to give them life. The Blackest Wrestling Podcast has come to kick all ass and drop it 6 feet if they kicking trash. Word, let me welcome y'all to something different. And if you dig it, man, you should let some friends listen. We be getting it in, this on the regular, dude. Ravish and flow, but this shit rude. See, James don't rap, so I had to break it down. The whole network, man, we coming for the crown. Raps in the columns, I keep them both covered. Making the beats too, so the listeners can bump it. Hit us with the rating, yeah, I'm saying it's a 5. Before you hit it, talk, bob your head side to side. It's One Nation Radio, and this is the beginning. It's Rich, and I'm here with James. It's time to listen to One Nation.
You got to unleash the power of the pyramid.
This is Mike Sempervive from WrestlingObserver.com. Check me out on Wrestling Observer Live every day. And also check out your boys, Rich and James, on One Nation Radio.
This is Kenny Omega. We're listening to One Nation Radio. Check it out, guys. These guys know what's up. Big Kenny Omega fans, that's all that counts to me. Goodbye and good night. Bang.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this week's edition of One Nation Radio. I'm James Boyd. It is James Boyd and James Boyd alone on this show. I totally forgot that it was Valentine's Day and Rich is a married man, and that shit kind of don't fly. I'm sure we all can understand that, and I wish him the best on tonight, and I wish Catherine the best tonight, and whatever they do. I don't know if I should just cut that or whatever else, but I guess we're just going to keep on going. Last night was Super Bowl, and it was not a particularly good game. It did have its moments in the second half in particular, but the game was kind of dry, not gonna lie. This was not Chiefs Bills from a few weeks ago, not in the slightest, but we did have a close game. In ways I felt like Sean McVay's game plan kind of made it closer than it should have been. And the refs did help when they gifted a touchdown to Buddy off of the face mask non-call on Jalen Ramsey, but whatever. It is what it is. The Rams are the 2021 NFL champions. Kind of happy for them, gotta say. They have a lot of people on that team that, like, I would have liked to see win. Like, I've always liked Von Miller. This is his second title. I've always liked Aaron Donald. This is his first ring. Stafford was in the NFC North as me being a Vikings fan. I didn't mind him. He was all right. I think y'all need to chill on the Hall of Fame talk. I know that's not most people, but there are some people out there, and that is the lunatic fringe. Nah, man. That dude, that Hall of Fame, that's a certain bar. We can't just be letting everybody in here. Obviously, he has more merit than like Julian fucking Edelman when some of you crazies talk about people getting into an NFL Hall of Fame, or sorry, the Pro Football Hall of Fame. But Stafford just, his career doesn't stack up. He has the numbers. He doesn't have the accolades like being an Offensive Player of the Year or a Pro Bowler multiple times. Like, he's made one Pro Bowl. Like, if you're going to look at guys that if he gets in, then we got to start putting in Tony Romo and Matt Ryan and, you know, guys of that ilk that were flat out better than him for multiple years and were actually like top 8-ish quarterbacks for the majority of their prime. Stafford was always like on that outside. He just had the numbers that looked pretty while losing and losing and losing. But that is not to say that he was not a very talented guy, as you saw throughout that game when, you know, in times his play elevated some of the things that Sean McVay wanted to do. I thought that Sean McVay got too committed to the run game, which is always a folly of guys like him that want to use the play action pass to open up passing lanes. I thought that they lost way too many downs, running downs, to where he should have abandoned the run sooner, but he stayed committed to it. And quite frankly, had they not had their issue with tight end depth, maybe they don't fix that. Maybe they don't, ditch their traditional Rams formations where you see a lot of run first, play action off of it type of formations, and go into tray and trips and more 3 and 4 receiver sets to make it happen. But the game was closer than it should have been. I thought Stafford played better in the game. He had 2 interceptions. One was off the receiver's hands. The other one was an arm punt. It's the fact that, not all turnovers are the same, but the real answer anyway, or the real story of the game was overtime. It held up at first, and then Burrow was getting the ball out of his hand really fast, and faster than you expect. But over time, as the game wore on, that defensive line, they started affecting the game. And there's only so long you're going to deny Von Miller and Aaron Donald and Leonard Floyd with that level of talent along the offensive line, or the lack thereof in Cincinnati. And over time, they started just to wear them out. Like Von Miller in that last drive, as after Kupp makes his second touchdown, ultimately the game winner. When the Rams went out there to protect that lead, Von Miller he kept getting to Burrow and making him have to throw it a little bit faster than he was ready to. And then 3rd and 1 on the final drive of the game, they call a run play, thinking they're going to, with timeouts in their back pocket, thinking they're going to, pick up a quick first down on a run play, call timeout, or just, spike it. Nope. Ran it up the middle. Aaron Donald makes a play, stops him short, so it's 4th and short. And then 4th and short, Donald, he just he gets to Burrow and he hasn't wrapped up, and Burrow has to just throw the ball in the air and hope that someone can catch it, and hits the ground. The game's over. And Donald, man, that dude has been the best defensive player in football for years now. And to see him finally win a ring out, and to see the way that he did it, where he basically closed out the game on his own, along with the help of like the people we mentioned, plus Ashawn Robinson even got in on the sack party. That was pretty fun to see. Just a team that was built to win now actually won, and we don't have to go over the whole like, should they have done it? Should they have tried to win? Like, I think we as a society kind of want to second guess things and want our cake and eat it too. And when you have a team in sports that is good, that has the talent to get there, and you feel like you make a play or make a move to try to add a critical boost at a certain spot to try to win the title. And I think a lot of times that doesn't work out. But in this case, with trading all those draft picks to get a Von Miller, to get a Jalen Ramsey, to get a Odell Beckham, or they picked him off of the waivers. You get my point. They were all in. To get Stafford as well, they were all in. They had a team that was going to have to win the title a few years ago. They didn't do it. They had to revamp after the damage from the Gurley contract, and they were committed to winning. And that's all you can ask for out of your franchise, is to, when you have the talent to contend, do whatever it takes in that window to go get you a title. And they maybe weren't the best team in the league this year. You probably say it was still the Bills, probably say it was still the Chiefs. But if you have a window, you got to keep fighting until you get there. Or you got to see it through, my boy. And that's the best way to put it. And they did that. And I thought it was big for them moving out of St. Louis back to Los Angeles to try to get this done. There's a city of stars. There's a city that wants to see a winner, or region that wants to see a winner, and they got it done. And I think it's going to carry a lot of favor and makes a transition, in that big, nice stadium that will house a WrestleMania next year. Kind of getting that fan base, because that's a lot of people that are still Raiders fans. I think this is a step in the right way forward for trying to, own the territory, if you will. So I'm really happy for the Rams and that nucleus of guys, because there's a lot of guys I like on the team. Like, I've always liked Whitworth as a dude. He's 40. He's basically telling people this is his last game. Like, we're long past the days of offensive linemen playing till they're 40, and he did it, and didn't even missed a playoff game this year. So happy for him to basically get one on his way out. Happy for all the defensive line guys that I mentioned. Super happy for Jalen Ramsey. Jalen Ramsey is one of the, maybe he's not Mount Rushmore, but he's definitely one of the patriotic players in Florida State football history. A dude that, like, I love from day one. Day one starter as a freshman on the national championship team in 2013, and to see like what all the things in different positions he played from year to year to year, from going from a safety to based like a nickel back to a boundary corner. Like, it was so impressive seeing that dude for 3 years at Florida State, and that dude was always a dog. So, like, to see what he's doing in the NFL was never a surprise to me. Never a surprise. There's on the other side, I feel bad for Burrow. That was rough. I feel bad for him for the part where he got his ass kicked, but I'll give him this. Like, he kept getting up and he kept trying. He never got gun shy at any point during the game. And he seemed to always know exactly where to go against a team like that with that kind of star power on defense. He knew where to go with the ball, and he did not shrink for the moment. It's just, he was overmatched. Very much like the Bucks and Chiefs game from last year in Super Bowl, where it's like, you just didn't have the horses. We'll see where his future goes. He's in the AFC. They're up right now as far as the top teams, having the most teams that can like be contenders right now between the Chiefs and the Bills. But if you just get average line play instead of abysmal line play, which shouldn't be that hard to do with that amount of cap space in the off season and attacking it in the draft. If you just go from a terrible fourth lineman, a terrible fifth lineman, to just league average, they should have a run here. Jamar Chase is only going to get better. Mixon's really good. He's really damn good. He was their best player for a stretch of the game. Trey Henderson, that dude's got some dog in him. Eli Apple, we've all seen Eli Apple all around the league for his career. Like, he's a guy that gets picked on. But yeah, I think they'll be a playoff team next year. But yeah, congrats to the 2021 NFL champions. Next after that, I guess, now that we're done with the game, we'll talk about the other festivities, the halftime show. Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, Eminem, Kendrick Lamar, 50 Cent, and Mary J. Blige. 50 was a surprise. We knew about everybody else. Gotta say, like, that was right up my age bracket. I know there was a debate on Twitter today about whether or not Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg belong to the Gen Xers, that they actually belong to that generation, or to the millennials. And I gotta say, who gives a fuck? Like, it was 1992. They made some great music, and they signed some other acts along the way, or found some acts along the way that kind of added to the legacy of Dr. Dre as quite possibly the best music producer of the last 40 years. NWA, his own albums, Doggy Style, some of the stuff he contributed to Tupac, like California Love, 2001, Family Affair with Mary, that's why Mary's there, quote unquote discovering Eminem, 50. Like, it was all on display there. Kendrick Lamar, all that was on display. And they all brought different things to their game last night. Like, I thought that, for me, my personal taste, I thought the Kendrick Lamar section of it was the best part. Us outside of the nostalgic feel of just seeing Dre and Snoop together, of course. Like, that's magic. You know, like, that's seeing like that's like seeing Bird and Kareem together, right? Like, it just make you feel good. But, I mean, you know, in a different genre, that is Showtime for me. Like, Chronic and Doggy Style are like two of my favorite rap albums, or two of my favorite albums of all time, period. Like, they both might be top 20. Those are albums that I could just press play and, you know, just let everything play out itself. It's just awesome. But, yeah, it was a great night for rap, if you want to say that, as far as the celebration of those kind of acts. I will say, seeing 50 Cent, seeing Dr. Dre, seeing Eminem, seeing Snoop Dogg, seeing Kendrick Lamar, seeing Mary J. Blige up there, all 6 of them have the catalog to do their own Super Bowl halftime shows. And we all know that, but they're all together. And I thought it was fun. Now, as far as the Eminem kneeling thing, in real time, when it happened, I thought nothing of it. I thought he just took a knee. I thought it might have been even in tribute to Tupac after Dre gets on the piano, which, gotta tell you, maybe the greatest producer of my lifetime. I had no idea he could play piano. And a lot of y'all didn't know that either, but, or, you know, maybe he was practicing just for that, trying to show off, but, yeah, plays I Am Mad at You on the keys for a little bit, and then, transitions over to, Still Dre. You know, that was fun. That was really fun. I thought Kendrick had the best, like, visual stuff, like, with just, like, the marching stuff, playing All Right, that was cool. Like, I always liked All Right, even though I don't really love that album as much as everybody else does. I'm a Mad City person, but yeah, Mary, you gotta love Auntie Mary. You got to. Auntie Mary was out there looking pretty good. She's looking pretty good. The vocals, I don't know. It's always weird when it comes to the Super Bowl performances, as far as like trying to mix all that stuff down and the outside crowd noise and the live band. And I gotta say, like, I don't like the live band edition of rap songs. It's a clash at times. It really is. This was done better than most, but it's Dr. Dre. Like, Dr. Dre is a master of being ahead of his time when it comes to mixing techniques. So, like, yeah, he made it sound good. Not everybody can replicate that. Like, Dr. Dre has always had his shit sounding like it was top of the line music. It ain't always, but that's besides the point. 50 as a surprise I was not expecting that. Was not expecting it. A lot of people made a lot of jokes about his appearance, and, you know, 50 was a bully for most of his career. So, I guess turnabout is fair play, but, yeah, I was happy to see 50. But it kind of hit me the same way when I see Busta. I was like, oh, I remember Busta. I remember them dudes in their prime. Okay, they old now. That does make me question. Does make me like question my own mortality, maybe. But hey, that song was a song that absolutely should have been a halftime song for a Super Bowl for, you know, ever since it came out in 2003. So yeah, it's finally got its just due. And a lot of these songs, same thing as I mentioned, like all of these legendary acts have the catalog to do this solo. They did together. You know, I think this is more about the legacy of Dr. Dre than it is make a statement of we're boxing up all the black music and giving y'all a 6-for-1. But a lot of people, if you feel that way and felt that's, you know, with the Jay-Z thing and them trying to use his name, the NFL's trying to use Jay-Z's name for these halftime acts as a way to say that there's actually equity, or they're actually working to fight for anti-racism, hey, have at it. They're getting sued right now because they don't hire black coaches or minority coaches. So have at it. And there's definitely something to that. But it was fun to see all 6 of them on stage. 6 people that I've all enjoyed their music. But yeah, it's just fewer things are more fun than seeing Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg together. Just is for me in music. But yeah, I guess we'll move on from there. NBA trade deadline. Got one blockbuster and a few other small things. Ben Simmons gets traded after not playing for the Sixers all year to the Brooklyn Nets for James Harden. I'm sure Rich will have something on this on the next show we do. I'm sure it'll get brought up, so I'll be fast. I feel like this is like the rare trade where like everybody won in a way. Obviously the Nets, they Kevin Durant and Kyrie, they really wanted to have a third star, and I think while they were all just when they played in that Celtics series last year, they were just offensively overwhelming. They looked like they were world beaters. They were going to cakewalk to the title until Kyrie went down and Durant and not Durant, but Harden was playing on one leg with the hamstring. But I kind of like the idea of seeing 2 great players with a supporting cast that is worth a damn, that can also defend and rebound and knock down shots. And seeing the 3 stars is fun, but I kind of like a balanced team that have traditional senses of responsibility. It's not to say that's a wrong way to do it, but that's what I prefer to watch. Like being able to watch a team like the Suns this year, which is, they're just a more familiarized version of what they were last year because they're more accustomed. They fit better. They have more pieces. They have more of a answer for size now with McGee than when, Sarge went down last year in the finals with a torn ACL. But that team fits and it knows its role, and they all play super hard. Like, I like those teams. The superstar thing, like, don't get me wrong. Like, Miami Heat team was super fun to watch when it was Bosh and Wade and LeBron. But you always felt like at times, like one of the stars has to like either sacrifice or not be able to show all they can do, or like one has to do everything at times to try to, offset some of the deficiencies on, the spots on the roster 4 through 12. But yeah. Them getting Ben Simmons, if Ben Simmons is committed to winning and not being so about himself that to the detriment of his own team, I think that he could do some damage. If he just shows up and does the things that he does on a daily basis, even last year, in the regular season anyway, he doesn't have to take any tough shot. Like, he could be a supercharged version of Draymond Green. Like, he's already just like a person that can shut down 1 through damn near 5. Let's say 1 through 4.5. Like he eating Trey Young's lunch in the playoffs. Being someone that you would pick top 5, top 6 to say, hey, Giannis is coming barreling down the lane, full head of steam from 70 feet out. You got to do something about it. Or LeBron, you got to do something about it. He's one of the few people in this league that actually might have an answer for that. He's a special defender. He really is. And him on the break, him as a rebounder, him as a passer and facilitator, he does everything well except for go put the ball in the bucket. I need you to knock down the tough shot. He can't do none of that. In fact, he doesn't even want to do none of that. That's some of the great frustrations with him. That's one of the reasons why we all look at him and say, hey, like, there's a mental aspect to basketball and to sport, and it seems like you don't want to do any of that. And a lot of people feel like this is, him talking about his mental health issues is his way of shirking responsibility. And we want to see him at his best because we see all those tools that dude has, and that's in the size and gifts this man has. It's been frustrating to watch when you see someone like Joel Embiid blossom as a player over the last few years, fighting through, the back injuries and stuff at Kansas and having to sit out and all that kind of stuff to get to where he is, and to see what he had to put in to get this kind of skill set at that size, which is so rare. And to see like Ben Simmons just doesn't seem to want to put in that kind of work. It kind of, become the best player he can be. And you kind of want to like, do you want to be good at this? Or not good, but great, like really great. It kind of leaves you kind of, frustrated. But I think that him outside of Philly, I think him with some guys that can take some of that responsibility off him and some of the things and do a lot of things that he doesn't want to do and can't do. I think there's going to be a lot of pressure just lifted off of him on a basketball floor. And to see him just kind of, flying around, I think they're going to be a really good team. I think that this team is a more complete team now. Maybe they're not better. They're probably not better. Because, anytime you have a team like that and you say, hey, you got to score 120 to beat us, that's a hard thing. But I still think that if they can get some type of commitment from Kyrie to actually want to play basketball as a full-time thing instead of a hobby, I think they're going to do a lot of damage. It's still Kevin Durant. It's still Kevin Durant. And Kyrie, he'll be there for at least half the games. Just imagine what it could be like if he showed up for all the games. And I think a crucial part of that trade was getting Seth Curry in there. Like, Joe Harris has had these struggles knocking down wide open shots in the playoffs the last 2 years, and Seth ain't gonna have that problem. Like, you look at that and you see, like, all right, you got Ben Simmons bringing the ball up the floor, KD, Kyrie, Seth Curry. It doesn't really matter who the fifth person is. Like, that is a lot of shooting. That's a lot of athleticism. And that is a lot of, above average creation, with all that. Now, and, him and Durant are going to cause a lot of problems offensively. Like, Durant's not the player he was after he tore his Achilles defensively, but he's still a good defender when he's locked in. And to put him with another, one of the best defenders in the league, like Simmons, with that kind of length, like, sort of gives you like OKC 2016 flashbacks. Obviously, they're not as long, but I think there's more versatility there. Now, flip it to the Philly side of the trade. If I told you after Ben Simmons passes up a dunk and a gotta have it moment in a playoff game with their season on the line, that they were then going to turn an asset like Ben Simmons, where we thought like that dude's like untradeable because you can't trust him in the playoffs, and they turned that into James Harden after Ben Simmons does not play all year, and people are wondering, what are you going to do, because Embiid looks like he's the MVP, and it looks like you're going to be flushing a year of his prime down the drain on a person that we don't know how much wax is in that candle. They turn that into James Harden. It's a success. Now, I know there are going to be people that think, well, James Harden, he's not the same player he was a few years ago. Guys, he's not trying. And one of the best ways you can tell how committed James Harden is to playing, or to a team, is if he's on the floor playing. Like, James Harden don't miss games unless he wants to fuck out of wherever situation he's in. It does think that this is now 2 seasons in a row where he's basically quit on 2 teams. I'm not saying that he's innocent in any of that. He absolutely goes on his resume and his legacy as a top 30 player in NBA history. It absolutely does. But what I will say is, would you want to deal with that if you were every day with Kevin Durant hurt? You want to deal with like a person that's not committed to winning? Like last year, when he showed up in Brooklyn, he played his ass off. Like, people were making all those jokes about the fat suit and all that kind of stuff. And then he showed up in Brooklyn. That dude was James Harden again when he was playing. He had the hamstring injury. And we figured, like, and he played 2 playoff games on one leg, basically, to make that work. Like, that was one of my, Game 7 in that second round was one of my favorite playoff games of all time. To see the effort level that Middleton and Giannis and Harden and Durant were playing with, especially for someone like Harden, especially for someone like KD that think that these people are uncompetitive. Y'all out y'all fucking minds. Like, they put it all on the line. They emptied the gun in that game. But anyway, coming back to that, Harden was convinced to come to be the third person on this team. He blows up his reputation, and joins that team, a team that nobody likes, for a fan base that doesn't have deep groups at all. Like, I'd have to ask Brooklyn Light, but from what I see when I watch these games it's a lot of people that aren't really native New Yorkers that are into this thing because it's a cool thing to do in town. And most of these Brooklyn fans are still Knicks fans, right? And that's the thing that'll have to figure itself out over time, over 20 years of having a fan base and generations of fans in the team's relationship with the borough. But I think it'll sort itself out. But man, like, after coming off that year, and then they come back, and then the Kyrie guy says, "Nah, not doing it. It's big. This is bigger than basketball." And you saying that to someone like James Harden, like, to me, I don't know how Kevin Durant even stomachs that. Kevin Durant is a hooper. For him to say, "Hey, I don't want to play because I got something else going on besides basketball," I'm sure it's something he understands, and something that James Harden understands, like, as far as, like, mentally, but emotionally and as far as, like, spiritually, nah, man, them 2 dudes that be on the court busting their ass, playing their hearts out, giving everything they got, playing all these games, fighting over injuries and coming back. Not to say that Kyrie ain't had that commitment. That dude, you don't assemble that reel of skills without also putting in time in the gym. But we've seen it too many times where that dude's too quick to just say, just ready to drop shit any given moment to say that, like, that dude's all in the same way that, like, the LeBrons, the Hardens, the Kevin Durant's, the Steph Curry's are. No knock against them. Like, Vince Carter was like that too. But yeah, to see Harden, like, check out the way he did, like, that's not he's let go of the rope. That's not he's washed thing. You'll see it soon. He'll when he shows back up in Philly and he's great again, I ain't gonna say, like, don't say I didn't warn you. We all know it's unfortunate. It's a part of the game now, where so many guys are just willing to just press the eject button and get out of their situation. But this is some of the owners, this is a byproduct of an unintended consequence of the owners wanting to shirk or not wanting to be on the hook to pay guys big money. So like they want shorter contracts. Well, if you want shorter contracts, we're going to use our leverage. Players are going to use their leverage that are max players to do what they really want. That's the thing. Like, I thought that Waz from The Ringer made a great point when people talk about the player empowerment stuff ever since LeBron did the decision and went to Miami. It's like, what do you mean by player empowerment? Like, they lose every CBA negotiation. Like, the owners dictate the terms. Like, the players are working within the terms that the owners have set up. This is, after all, a job. Like, I understand that, like, and Rich says this too, like, it's harder to watch the league and follow the league when, like, the cores that you grew up watching, like, you watch, like, the late 90s, Pacers and Knicks and Heat all play together and lose and, have these wars. And then, like, every 2-3 years, like, it's a whole new squad of a new team that was built out of thin air, that was created in the lab, if you will. I understand it, even if I don't have that kind of sentimental attachment to it. Like, I just want to see talent play hard and do some really creative, fun things. But I definitely get where he's coming from. Is that's what we grew up on. Like, the paradigm is shifting. I don't know what you do to make people, I don't know what you do to make the top stars necessarily care about that, especially, given these situations when it comes to labor versus management, where predictably the fans always choose management. Right now you look at it, and we'll talk about it in a second, but we're right now at this kind of end of the road thing with Dame Lillard, it seems, and both the ownership and Dame Lillard are almost playing a game of chicken on who's going to say what needs to be said to end this, and who is the fan base going to be mad at. And Dame is playing in a way where, like, y'all ain't finna boo me. I'm probably not gonna get a statue here, but, like, y'all ain't finna boo me and turn on me. And they're making it real tough for him right now. And I guess we'll get to that. But yeah, like, James Harden, before we get to that, like, James Harden and Embiid, like, the kind of pressure they can put on the offense, on a defense, is like, do I really need to explain? I think you're going to see a lot of the James Harden from Brooklyn in the early days of Houston, as a pick and roll guy. Like, the ISO days, I think that's kind of done. I don't think he has the gas to do that as much anymore. I mean, I'm more interested to see what they do defensively with him. I think he's going to be buying with him defensively. I wonder though, James Harden's playing on a lot of teams where they switch everything. And that ain't no team. You can't have nobody as big as Joel Embiid and switch everything. Just can't. So it's going to be interesting to see how he adjusts to that. But, as far as their play, he answers a lot of questions that Embiid, a guy his size traditionally just can't answer in the last 4 minutes of a game. Even though I think Embiid, for his size, that dude is the real deal. Like, that dude is him and Jokic both. Like, those are two dudes that, like, hey, 7 footers, big centers, or whatever you want to call them. Like, you can't get them the ball in the game situation, have them make it happen. Those two can. Those two are unicorns. But, like, putting that with Harden, it's going to be interesting to see, because, like, he's so much of a better offensive player than Simmons. Even accounting for James Harden's list of playoff failures, he's still so much better than Ben Simmons in any crucial moment. So I think this is the rare all-star for all-star trade that people are still in their primes, and both teams got better for it in a sense. I think that they're both in better places, both of them, for them personally. Moving on, we were talking about Lillard, so I guess we get to this trade. The Blazers traded CJ McCollum for Josh Hart. There are also some draft picks around it, but there are also a lot of draft picks for a lot of trades for the Blazers where they just basically said, blow it up. We're done. Like, we're going to make it real uncomfortable for you, Dame. You have to choose. Like, you're 31, 32. You're going through an injury-riddled season right now. Like, we're going to make it real tough for you to say you don't want to get out of here. They've all but said, they're all but pushing him out the door. And, you know, I know people may have made a bunch of jokes about running from the, embracing the grind, because that's what Lillard says. But, man, like, this is the end. And that team was together a long time, or that nucleus of him and McCollum there for a long time. And Dame's been there for a while now. Dame goes back to freaking, he dates back to LaMarcus Aldridge, right? So I think it's over. He's gonna have to start looking at other trying to figure out where he's gonna go, like whether that's the Knicks, whether that's to wherever other destination. But he can't come back to that. Like, he has to get out, and it stinks. And hopefully the fan base shows appreciation to know like what's happening. Like, these aren't his decisions. He doesn't want to do a rebuild at 31. But when you are out here with a fired GM and you hire someone that was already in house, you have a rookie head coach. You just basically shed all the salary long term, except for Dame. You're trying to get Dame to leave, so that looks like a team that would be up for sale, especially given Allen, the ownership is now with a widow. Paul Allen died years ago, I think 2018. It looks like a team that wants to sell. Looks like they're getting their ducks in order and all that kind of stuff to have a fresh new team to put on the asset list to sell off. But I think that's what it is. I think they're trying to get their things there in order to try to sell them off. We'll see what happens. I just hope that the Portland Trail Blazers stay in Portland. They're a fun team, fun fan base. Like, it would suck if they become the Seattle Supersonics. It just would. Porzingis for Dinwiddie, man. That Porzingis unicorn thing, like, they ended real quick, didn't it? Like, I thought that they were going to be a match made in heaven, and been nothing but hell for them. They've never got the first round. They kept running to the Clippers and figuring out ways to lose to the Clippers in first round series. Porzingis he's not nearly as good as he used to be. Injuries, a lot of lower half injuries. I don't think he ever was the same after he tore his ACL. Trading for Dinwiddie, we're gonna see, man. Like, Dinwiddie and Luka could be volatile in, like, how long before, even though we all love Luka and he could just shoulder so much of an offensive burden, like, how long before it turns into, like, doesn't work well with others, because him and Carlisle had issues, even though Carlisle is also a known person to rub people the wrong way and a straight shooter, a person that suffers no fools. Like, all of that turnover with Donnie Nelson Jr. and Harala Bob or whatever else. Like, the only person that's around now is him. So, the Dinwiddie thing, I think it's not going to work that well. But, pull the plug and start over and get yourself a bunch of cap space in Dallas. I've seen this movie before. Maybe Luka makes it more appealing, but, like, if you're a great player, or if you're a really good player that can command high dollars, do you want to sign up to be, part of the Luka show? We'll see. Sabonis for Halliburton. I'll be real quick on this because, like, I mean, it's an Indiana Pacers versus Sacramento Kings trade. Like, I like Halliburton. Like, I feel like he is going to be a third or fourth best player on a real contender eventually. Obviously, it wasn't going to happen in Sacramento at the rate they're going, but I think it's a decent pickup for them. Obviously, Sabonis is far ahead of him right now. He's older. But yeah, I wouldn't have traded him at this stage. I just wouldn't have. Like, I think that dude can be a gamer for you, a foxhole guy, if you will. Not to say anything bad about Demonis. Demonis is good. He's really fucking good. But the Kings made this play. It kind of is. I don't want to say it's win now because you know where they are in the standings. They're always at the bottom. But we'll see what happens with De'Aaron Fox and the rest of that cast. And I gotta say, them doing the play-in has made teams kind of, I don't want to say kind of, but there are definitely people that are trying to get the 10 seed in ways that I just thought, like, why would you fall for the banana in the tailpipe? But, like, people fall for the banana in the tailpipe. They think it's some accomplishment. They can make it to a play-in and get fucking smoked in the play-in and lose. It has definitely kept some of the outrageous tanking at bay, is in check, if you will. But yeah, I still think that's the bottom of the, especially next year, because the whole idea would be playing for next year with that kind of trade. But it's like, man, the Clippers are gonna be good again. But whatever. That whole ownership thing is just weird. Like, I can't believe they've been this bad. Like, for now at this point, like 17 years. They've been this bad. Like 17 years. They've stunk. Like, that fan base was so rabid in the early 2000s. And to see them just stink like this for that long, it's like, wow. Like, really? Like, the last stand was Peja Stojakovic. All right. Even had star players like Cousins didn't want to pay him that money, let him leave, sign him and then trade him off. It's crazy. But well, oh well. So got done with all that. So time to talk about some wrestling. 46 minutes into the show, whatever. WWE is trying to get Stone Cold Steve Austin for WrestleMania in a wrestling match. What? Word came out on Fightful today that they have reached out. I don't think it's a coincidence that today on Valentine's Day, WWE put out a promotional sale for WrestleMania tickets 2 for 1, where I think the promo code was like love, like WrestleMania love or WM love or something like that. 2 for 1 for the biggest wrestling event of the year. Sounds like a hot promotion, right? So yeah, they're reaching out to Austin. The proposed program would be with Kevin Owens. I'm assuming that'd be presumably over the use of the stunner. Owens is a heel right now. Austin ain't wrestled since like 2003, I think. It reached a desperation. I would say at least they're trying, but like with them, they have no equity with me. They have no credibility with me. So it reeks of desperation, and at least they trying is like, that's such a low bar. At least you're trying. Like, do better. All that money put into this product, into these shows, into that talent. Be better. Be better. So that's the big story for now. Stone Cold Steve Austin has been reached out to for WrestleMania. We'll see what happens. Man, I would love to know that number. Like, could he get $5 million for a show? I think he could. I think he could get $5 million for a show. I don't see why not. They got the money for it. They're not paying their on-screen talent as much as they should. They've been laying off people left and fucking right. Like, what's $5 million after this Saudi show that they do on Friday or Saturday? What's that? So yeah, we'll see what happens. Before we leave off WWE, because we don't really talk about WWE even without Rich here, I'd like to point out and talk about a very good match, a damn good match from Friday Night SmackDown that I saw word of mouth about it, and I decided to check it out. Charlotte versus Naomi for the SmackDown Women's title. I think that's the best. I think it's the best Naomi match of her career. To me, it was kind of validating watching it and seeing the match, and like I thought for a few years now that like probably since 2018, like she was good enough to be somebody that you put in a challenger position or you put in feature in the women's division, and it just never happened, and it was very frustrating, and it's one of the reasons why I don't watch WWE as much as I used to. I was just like, this person's talented enough to meet the standard. Why is this person not getting this opportunity? Why is this person like just on the back burner when you have to, scrape the plate for some of these, sorry motherfuckers? Like, use someone that's not sorry. Like, I don't care if she's been around a long time. Like, people like her. Like, listen to the reaction she gets at Royal Rumbles. People like her. It's okay to let people be liked in WWE. Vince, I don't know what happened to you to where it made you think like that being inherently likable is actually a bad thing for, a show that's built to the dynamic of people that aren't liked and people that are liked go to battle. I don't get it. But yeah, Naomi, her and Charlotte, like that was the Charlotte big match. You've seen them all dozens of times. And this wasn't the upper echelon of big, great Charlotte matches, but this was a very good one. I thought it had a kind of a clunky finish, and it made Naomi not seem like an actual challenger, but, let's be real. She's not. They saw it as a good defense to have, and Charlotte beat her. But whatever. I thought it was a very good match. I at first saw people going off say it's 4.5, and then that's what made me go watch the match, because like, wait, what? 4.5? I gave it 3 3/4. But it was a very good match. It's the best match that Charlotte that Naomi's ever had that I've ever seen, and it's in a singles capacity, and like they've been doing this thing with Sonya, and I'm sure that'll lead to some match at WrestleMania, but or another match, because I know Naomi already beat her, but I'm sure she's getting something, which is a lot better than the times where she was getting absolutely nothing. So I guess that's progress for her. But yeah, this is somebody that like has earned the right for more for a long time, and they're doing something with her, so it's better than nothing. After the match, Sonya comes out, and her and Charlotte attack Naomi, which leads to a save from Ronda Rousey, and Ronda Rousey makes a save for Naomi, and she has a friend for now, and I'm sure they're gonna do some matches between Charlotte and Sonya versus Naomi and Ronda to lead towards WrestleMania, and like it is a precedent. Like, this is all just a way to get you a person that may not be into the Ronda thing to like Ronda, because she's friends with Naomi this year. A few years ago it was Natalya. This year I guess it's going to be Naomi. Whatever. They've done worse. Do I think that they're actually friends in real life? Fuck no. But whatever. Maybe they'll come up with some type of cool name or whatever else. Naomi tends to, they throw her in all these weird tag teams, and she's always made it work because like she seems like such a warm, endearing, loving person. Like, I remember when she was coming out here with the fake fur with Asuka. It's like, why does that even work? It made no sense, but it worked. Like, she's that kind of person. Like, she gives off that aura of she's a fun hang. So, I hope for more for her. I really do. I always have. So I guess we move on to Dynamite. I thought Dynamite on Wednesday was a great show. I thought that there were two important talking segments, and I thought there were two great matches on it. And just go through it. The show opens up with MJF coming out to celebrate his win over CM Punk, beating him in his words twice in one night, and him being the best in the world, and not only best in the world, better than the best in the world. And anyway, you get you get Wardlow coming out to put up like cardboard cutouts of MJF celebrating. He's basically setting up the decorations. Then out comes Sean Spears, and he hands Justin Roberts a prepared script of words to say. He reads them out. He says something along the lines of something that rhymes with "bangs the rats." Out comes FTR and Tully, and then Justin Roberts introduces MJF. MJF comes out on the joint. I think it's called a Peloton, where people are carrying him on a chair. And he comes to the ring, he gets in, he celebrates with the guys. They're all super happy. Warlow is like looking at him like, look at these fucking losers. And he then proceeds to cut that promo to I'm better than the best in the world. There's a better than the best in the world shirt that Sean Spears says that he had created for the moment. That's now up on Pro Wrestling Tees. Like, if y'all want to buy into that scam at this point, after what happened around Christmas time, have at it. But that's what they did. So he said that like he's the uncrowned champion. He wants a shot at the title. CM Punk comes out and he says, "Hey, I got some words for y'all. I got some words for you, Wardlow." It turns into he says he wants a match with the person that cost him a win last week, and it turned to be Wardlow. He ends up bringing out Sting and Darby with baseball bats and threatens that those three are going to beat everyone in the ring's ass unless he gets what he wants. And he says he wants a match with Wardlow because Wardlow dropped the ring. He's the person that really beat him. Obviously, it's some type of mind games, but MJF then says, you know what? Not MJF, but MJF says something, and then FTR takes over, and Bald says, I want a match. After we lost the trios match a few weeks ago, I want another match. And CM Punk then says, all right, we can do that. So you're thinking it's going to be CM Punk with Sting or Darby versus FTR. MJF then flips the script and says, if you can beat FTR, the best tag team in the world, then you can get another shot at me, but you can't use Sting or Darby as your tag team partner. Punk seemingly agrees to these conditions, and they pretty much move on from there. Before they moved on to that, I believe it was Sean Spears told MJF that you have a match, you need to go to the back and tape up now. So you need to have a match, you need to get out of here. I thought it was a little goofy in that way that CM Punk comes out with baseball bats and threatens to beat up everybody with the help of Sting and Darby if he doesn't get what he wants, and then at the end ultimately he doesn't get what he wants. I'm sorry, you have baseball bats, go beat their asses. I thought I don't think it was necessary to threaten that kind of violence for losing a match you got beat twice in. I don't know. It was just kind of weird how they set the whole thing up, and it went 20 minutes. It was a opening of Raw type of segment, and I thought it had its moments. MJF comes out and he gets a kiss on the cheek from one of the women that was I guess helping him celebrate the festivities, and then he kisses the other woman, and it just turns to a makeout session. I thought that was fucking hilarious. But the way that Punk crashed the party, and then it turned into after he, babyface is dictating terms after being wronged, being cheated twice in one match, for the heel then to just say, nah, you're not going to beat me up, and also I'm not going to give you what you want. It's like, that kind of stinks. He wasn't basically put into a compromised position to actually have to concede anything. He just like Punk came out there with one that set his own terms, and all of a sudden him just flipped the script on him, and then he's like, "Oh, okay, boss," and goes to the back. Whatever. So after that, you end up getting you get Andrade in the back with Jose's assistant, and like I guess he has like a contract to officially procure the rights to Darby Allin from Sting, and Sting and Darby are like, bro, you don't get it. Like, we're friends. Like, he doesn't work for me. And like, it's funny because Andrade's like, nah, you work for him. There's no way that this kid is friends with this old man. It makes no sense. But Darby basically says like, look, man, I got better things to do than be involved in this confusion and riffraff. Like, I'm trying to win win the TNT title again. And Andrade finally like gets to the point, and he says like, see, now that's the thing, like, this is why it concerns me, all this stuff, like, this is why you're involved, because like I too want the TNT title. So I enjoy these funny, who is this kid and why does he work for Mr. Sting? But it actually got to the point and where they were going. So like, the potential of Andrade versus Darby, or Andrade versus Guevara for the TNT title, like, sign me up. Then we get the match when Wardlow comes out and he squashes the Blade. When they push the button on him, like, the crowd's gonna go fucking banana. He hits one power bomb, then he hits the next, and the crowd gets more and more into it with each power bomb, and like, yeah, man. They're into the Wardlow thing. It's a thing now. It is a thing now. Get a video package from Penta, and he goes to a graveyard. He digs up another mask, like a darker looking mask, special mask, and it is basically narrated by Abraham Montez, basically saying like, when Malachi spit in the mist on him, he awoken something, and so like he's going to meet that kind of evil with his own version of evil. So like, I don't know, I didn't watch Lucha Underground. I'm assuming it's something involving like the arm breaker version of Penta, and I gotta say, like, I hope he doesn't wrestle Cody with that, because Cody basically knows so that arm break shit. Like that, nothing. It's but a scratch. But like, yeah, Penta versus Malachi. That sounds like a great match. Whenever they do it. So next promo, you have Jericho for the mandatory Inner Circle team meeting. Sammy, Hager, and Jericho all in the ring, and Santana and Ortiz come out last with their own music, new music, by the way. And Santana cut a promo basically with all the bullet points that Rich has highlighted why there should be dissension, as opposed to like why there actually is dissension. It was basically like, Jericho, every time we've always had your back, you never had ours. Every time we get close to the tag team titles, which is what we want, your personal shit gets in the way, whether it was the Pinnacle, whether it was all the other fights he's had, like Moxley, for example. And he said, we're tired of it. And Santana says, if it wasn't for Ortiz, I'd drop you where you stand right now. And Jericho's kind of like me, just like befuddled. Also along the way, Santana said, like, Kingston mentioning this stuff kind of woke me up to the reality of the situation, that you're a selfish friend and member of the group, and you haven't let us, kind of like go out on our own. And I'm thinking to myself, like, this is like a worse version somehow of like the of the Adam Cole and an Elite thing, where it's like, y'all are grown men, just fucking leave. Like, what are you? Like, does Jericho have y'all signed to these MJF contracts I'm unaware of? Like, does he have points on y'all? Is it a 360 deal that Jericho has on y'all? Like, what do you mean? Why are y'all so mad at this? Like, y'all are wrestlers. Anyway, I'll get to the point. Jericho is befuddled much like I am. And he says, hey, y'all got a title shot a year ago. Y'all blew it. Y'all have had title shots. Y'all have blown it. What does it have to do with me? And then, because they're trying to make it less, they're trying to make it a choose your side type of feud. They have Jericho at the end blow his lid and call them ungrateful or disrespectful and big league them the way he was talking to them. And then it turned into name calling, or not name calling, but like, saying the line. So, by the end of it, after they come up on each other, and they're, one or two, mean things from one to snap at each other. Jericho says, well, you know what? Like, maybe I called the wrong two members of LAX. Maybe I should have called Homicide. And, they're about to come to blows. Sammy breaks it up. And then Sammy's about to say something. Jericho tells Sammy to shut up. Sammy says, you know what? I'm TNT champion. I got 2 belts here. I don't need this shit. Like, I'm out of here. Like, y'all figured this shit in your own. And while this is all happening, it sets up a match between Santana Ortiz versus Jericho and Hager. I can't remember last time I even saw Hager wrestle. Jesus, I don't know. It's been months, it feels like. But at least on Dynamite and pay-per-view and in Rampage, like, as far as Dark, he probably won 30 matches on Dark for all I know. But yeah, it has some juice to it. It has some juice to it, but I just feel like they pulled this one out their ass. Like, there's no reason for them to really be mad at each other. It's just something to do. But and I think that's kind of the thing that's going on with Jericho right now. Like, he's searching for the next thing, and I don't think there's anything left. Like, in much the same way that we talk about with Cody, it seems like AEW has kind of passed him by. Like, right now, Jericho has kind of been passed by AEW. Like, him as a mid-carder does not really work. It doesn't work. Like, him on top worked better, but he can't be on top right now. There's too many new guys that got to get in and settled, or whatever else for next generation. That's the point of booking the way they've done, but I don't think there's really much left for him to do in AEW. Like, so when people talk about Jericho in the WWE thing and how he's like, being a carny or a worker, it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world if he left and came back, in 3 years. Like, maybe, 3 years might be too long for him to, leave AEW and come back, right? Like, he, that standard of wrestling is totally different. But as far as being a feature performer on a consistent basis, I think it might be better if he turned into a special attraction. I think it might be. That's just my opinion for now. Anyway, so next week it'll be Jericho and Hager versus Santana and Ortiz. Backstage, you get Roppongi Vice and the Young Bucks Super Click. They beat them up, and then out of nowhere comes Switchblade, Jay White, and he ends up running Trent into the semi-trailer, and he walks off. Apparently, he was invited by Adam Cole, and the Young Bucks did not know about it, and they were not happy. So the big draw of the show, apparently, the AEW Face of the Revolution qualifier, the mystery opponent versus Isaiah Cassidy. The mystery person turned out to be just who we all thought, or most of us all thought it was, Keith Lee. He comes out, new music. Music has no bottom, but That's besides the point. The I Am Limitless hits the graphic hits the screen. Crowd goes nuts. He comes out, and they all know it's him. The crowd goes even more nuts. They start chanting Keith Lee. Match starts, and Isaiah, he's pointing into, pushing Keith Lee in the chest. Like, who do you think you are? That kind of stuff. Keith Lee grabs him, brings him into the corner, and then he fucking Bill throws him to the opposite corner. And like, I know some of y'all have watched AJ Styles take back body drops and just think like, oh my God, that's like the most height I've ever seen anyone get off a back body drop. This is like kind of height that Keith Lee got off this Bill. Like, he made it. If he wanted to, he could have thrown him out the ring. Like, him along with Isaiah Cassidy Keith Lee could have threw, and Isaiah Cassidy could have jumped, and he could have went over the ropes. That's how hard he threw. That's how the height was. Like, it was ridiculous. Then you see Keith Lee do the, jump down, leapfrog, hit the ropes. Wipe him out with a running dive, a running crossbody, hits a springboard splash or springboard crossbody, just did all the impressive stuff that he always, did that got him over everywhere he ever was, whether I saw him in on the Indies and Evolve, whether I saw him in NXT, whether I saw him with Brock Lesnar, having Brock Lesnar run the fucking ropes to get him over. Like, the crowd ate it up. They thought he was a goddamn superhero. He looked great. Like, I don't understand how we don't have Keith Lee versus Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar going into the WrestleMania. I don't. This fucking guy, like, I've seen this dude get over brand new, and now this is like the fourth fucking place I've seen him get over. Whether it was Evolve, whether it was NXT, whether it was the main roster, whether it was now AEW. Like, I've seen him in 3 different places get over in the first night 3 different times. Like, get over like Rover. Like, people thought he was like the next champion. And in NXT, he did become the top champion. Became double champ. Like, I can't believe they dropped the ball with this dude. Like, this dude was as easy as let him come out there and be his charismatic, swaggering self with all that presence and command. And, like, don't worry about stupid shit. Like, if the crowd believes in him, don't worry about covering up his body and, calling him Bearcat Lee and turn him into a mean heel. Whatever, man. It's their loss. It's our gain, if you will. But yeah, like, Isaiah Cassidy sold like crazy for this dude and took advantage of it. He caught Isaiah Cassidy on the floor and caught a dive, and then he threw him to the ground, and then as Mark Quinn comes to the ropes, he catches him in basically like a powerbomb position and powerbombs him on top of Isaiah Cassidy, and it's like he just did all the shit that he always did to get himself super over wherever I've seen him, and it's gonna work. It's just gonna work. It just is. So come back from a commercial break, and you end up seeing, you find out who FTR is facing with CM Punk, or versus CM Punk, who's CM Punk's mystery partner. Turns out it's Jon Moxley. And like, I don't recall them ever having a match where they teamed together. Maybe there was one in WWE that I'm just don't forget, because that was, 7-8 years ago. But CM Punk and Moxley versus FTR. This was the FTR match that style of match that we've seen them have with American Alpha, with the Usos, with DIY. This is their style of match. Like, I think, and I'm wrong, like, they have been very good of late, FTR. They've been wrestling their asses off in their situation. But this match layout, the twists and turns, the tactics used throughout the match, this was an FTR match through and through. Like, when you think of a Young Bucks match, you know what that looks like. This was when you've seen any of the great FTR matches aside from like the one with the Young Bucks, when you think of their great matches, this is what their match looks like, and it was awesome. Jon Moxley in tag teams, like, it's unfair. He's always a ball of energy, but like him in that setting where he can just, put the gas down, pedal down. He's wrestling his ass off. CM Punk's wrestling their ass off. Like, there's a Tower of Doom, was it Doomsday Device from CM Punk in Moxley. Before they go to commercial break, FTR puts Moxley through a table. He just barely makes a 10 count. They have the match seemingly won, where they were going to hit both their moves, the paradigm shift and the go to sleep, the GTS, and FTR thwarts it. There is a tease, or there's a counter out of an escape out of a GTS, and it turns into a what's it called? The Shadow Machine. I think they call it the Big Rig now. The formerly known as the Shadow Machine, for a great near fall. Like, this match was great. They killed it. Like, I want to see them. I want to see them tag together again in the future. And like FTR, like, whatever was going on, we were them around the Young Bucks, whatever like weird lacking of chemistry they have, like when they don't wrestle them, or they don't wrestle like oddly the two best tag teams in the world, Lucha Bros and the Young Bucks, like you see them on a more consistent basis, like they're fucking good, man. Like, they're fucking good. Like, we've always known that, but it's like when they came in, there were such high expectations, and I don't think they lived up to it. They just didn't. Like, they had matches that you were like, they're good. We thought they'd be better. But right now, I don't know what's changed, but like they're now looking like the tag team that we all thought they were. But yeah, end up getting that double finish that they teased earlier. They end up doing it. Paradigm shift simultaneous with the GTS. I believe. Let me look through my notes. Yeah. So, simultaneous GTS and paradigm shift. Moxley paradigm shifts bald. Punk GTS's hair, and Punk gets the win. After that, you end up getting the TBS title challenge, or title throwdown, or whatever they're calling it. Jade Cargill versus AQA. AQA is semi-famously the former Zayda Amir, who once beat Tony Storm with a shooting star press. This match started out strong, and then like it faded. There was a lot of miscommunication. You could hear the ref like telling them what's next in the choreography, if you will. What's next in the match to do. Zayda ends up hitting the shooting star press, and after getting beat down for a while and outclassed, and Jay kicks, and then she goes up for another one, and then Jay stands up. And then like neither one of them knew what the fuck to do after that. And it turned to a mess after that. Like, there was a point where right after that, AQA gets thrown into the opposite corner by Jade. Jade is sitting there waiting for her to come out of the corner, for her to do something. And Jade motions like, come on, walk out the corner. And then you can see her frustrated that she didn't move. She went and got her, and hit her with a move, and then got her up and finished her with Jaded. It was a squash match. Started strong, trailed off at the end, weird miscommunications or whatever else. But yeah, I do see Jay getting better as a technical wrestler. I know people have noted that apparently she is working on some things with Brian Danielson of late. But yeah, the start of that match, she was strong. With her chain wrestling, she was. It just didn't work out by the end. But Jade is now 27-0, I believe. Continuing the streak. Next, you get the Professor 5-minute challenge, or the 5-minute rookie challenge from Serena Deeb. She takes on a woman named Katie Arquette. She beats her in like 1 minute, puts on a Serenity Lock. I don't know who she's being set up for next, but she's being kept strong. Like she's gonna be I think she's found her niche as like a badass gatekeeper. For both of these titles probably, but like I wonder who she's being built up for the next thing, because I don't really see any big baby faces right now that aren't like, because Thunder Rosa is headed towards Britt. Like she has 3 matches in that whole situation to get to Britt if they so choose. Like I don't think there's a 4th one, so I wonder who it is going to be for Serena. And then the main event. I gotta say, when I first watched this match, I was not impressed. I wasn't impressed until the ridiculously crazy spot from the Archer's finish off the apron onto the steel steps. That was when I was like, this match is okay. It's a walk and brawl plunder fest where they're just bleeding all over the place because they bladed. And then my opinion turned on it from just being okay or alright or good to this match is really damn good. And then I rewatched it and I was like, maybe it's I was super tired, but like this match is more than just a walk and brawl plunder fest. Like this match was a well told story, and I knew the story, but like it was executed even better. Watching it second time around, and like I was just wrong in the match. I don't know. I just wasn't into it. I was checked. I think the main thing was like I was just checked out mentally from blood. I'm just over blood in AEW. It's not gonna stop. Like the juices will keep falling. I can guarantee you that. But it just double juice like. It does something for people that it just doesn't do for me. But yeah, like that's no knocking this match. Like, and I was just wrong on the match on first initial viewing. Like, it shouldn't have checked me out. Like, there's gonna be blood in a Texas death match, James. You should have came expecting it. But they brawl. They start off by brawling in the back. They come through one of the tunnels and the entrance ramp, and apparently Archer had like a glass shattering setup along the hill tunnel. Paige throws him through it. He comes out of it bloodied. And they brawl around, get to the ring. Archer throws him out. By that time, they're out by the floor after Archer has control. And Dan Lambert comes out and he starts unscrewing the turnbuckle to let down the top rope, because can't do the buckshot lariat without a top rope, so Paige ends up getting on top of gets on top of something in one of the walls, or if you will, and he ends up moonsaulting off of that, gets Archer back in the ring, and he goes for the buckshot. But as he goes up, he realizes there's no fucking, because he's been fighting really hard. He's realized what the fuck happened to the top rope. So from there, there's shots with with a trash can lid. There's a choke slam through a trash can that was laid out on the mat. A lot of other stuff. Also, before they go to commercial break, you see Archer pulls out one of those turnbuckle hooks and he, quote unquote, digs it into Paige's head. Obviously, Paige blade like crazy. So when he come out of commercial break, he has a huge crimson mask. So all that stuff's happening. The choke slam through the choke slam and everything like that happened with the crimson mask. Basically, the finish comes after they earlier teased that Archer set up 2 tables on the floor. And he was going to chokeslam him through them, and he escaped eventually. That was early in the match. To get to the end, Archer pulls out a bunch of chairs, and he pulls out one chair that has a bunch of barbed wire around it. So Archer seemingly has match won. He's about to powerbomb him on this chair with the barbed wire. But Hangman grabs a chair and he uses it to bash it across Archer's head to get down and escape. And then he ends up ripping off some of the barbed wire and wrapping it around his arm. He hits a number of tornado forearms and tornado elbows. And then eventually he takes it down after he's backing the monster up over by the tables. He puts the barbed wire down. You know, the refs in these plunder matches, they always, move shit out the way. So the ref naturally bends over to try to move it out the way. Hangman uses the ref bent over as a catapult to vault himself in similar fashion to a buckshot lariat, to vault himself with the flip and send him and Archer with the buckshot lariat crashing over the middle rope that's the middle of the rope that's the highest rope through the tables on the floor. And they're both on the ground. Ref starts counting. Hangman makes it to his feet. Archer gets up in a seated position by the 10 count. He can't make it. He loses. Another great defense for Hangman. He's on a roll right now. This is not as good as his other AEW title matches have been. The last from the title change to the 2 defenses against Danielson. But this was a great match. I ended up giving this 4 1/4. I think people like this more than me, but I was wrong in the match, and Hangman's on a roll right now. What this match does for him, and as far as his star level or whatever else, I don't know, but it was a good ass match, and then he's a defending, bleeding champion. So that I'm sure that a lot of people are really into the Cowboy for that right now. I'm into him for his matches, not so much the blood, but that's part of it with him apparently now. Like Rich at one point in the middle of the match said, you know what, Heyman might just be a blood guy, and hey, he could be if he's going to have these kind of matches. I don't think the blood adds anything for it, but it does for other people. But these matches are great, so you got to take people for what they do. If it's still Raw, so I'm with it for now. So let's move over to Rampage. So Young Bucks versus Roppongi Vice. They had teased it for a while, and or not teased it. They tried to have it, but Matt had COVID. Now it's time to do it, and they go straight to the action. They start in the ring. Rampage starts in the ring, and they had a hell of a match. Like 13 minutes of just action nonstop, and like they're all good together. You can see all the stuff they've done with each other for years and the chemistry they have with each other. Young Bucks had new gear. I don't like as much as some of the stuff they were last year, but whatever, it's okay. Yeah, man, like eventually over time, the Young Bucks is basically, this match turned into super kicks versus suplexes. And a lot of the time the suplexes were up, a lot of times the super kicks were up, but it was fun. Ultimately, the Young Bucks get in position to do a indie taker or a Meltzer driver. It gets thwarted. They eventually get back to it, and they end up hitting the Meltzer driver and getting the win on over Rocky. That leads to Jay White coming out and attacking Trent. Trent set up to have a match on next week's Rampage with Jay White. Match will be very good. I don't remember if they've had matches in New Japan before, but they've bound to have wrestled each other a number of times in tags and all those Road 2 shows, so I'm sure they have some chemistry. Jay White should be looking to try to prove himself on the biggest stage he's had since this year, or in about 6 months. So, yeah, because he left before the G1, so I'm sure he's itching to be in this position again, to have a big match with a lot of eyes on it. So yeah, I really like Trent. Y'all know this, so I think that match will be really good. And that kind of explains why they, kind of gave Trent some wins since coming back, as opposed to just making him just immediately like a guy that is one of the guys that's in Best Friends. It's not Orange Cassidy, so they've teased, the tension with him or some tension between him and Yuta, but we'll see where this goes. I think that this is a part of the story. Like, we'll see where he ends up, but like, I think they're going to break Trent out in some form or fashion. Is it going to be some mid card or some upper card thing? No, but like, it's to freshen up the roster. It's freshen up the status quo. So then from there, you end up getting Ricky starts on commentary, and he calls out who do you call it? He called out Dante Martin and talked about the ongoing Team Taz versus Dante Martin thing over the contract and all that kind of stuff. So he let it be known that like it will be him, Dante Martin versus Hobbs in a qualifying match for the Face of Revolution ladder match. So that's next week. That'll be fun. Because that'll be I think that's their match. They're 1-1 against each other, so this will be the third match. Then Shivani interviews Daniel. Keep on calling him Daniel Brian Danielson, and he said that people are comparing his office with Moxley to CM Punk's, but he sees it as totally different because his long-term relationship, whereas the one with CM Punk is a one-night stand. So then Lee Moriarty and Seidel walk up, and Seidel says he doesn't appreciate saying that he's going to take, or he thinks that he could do a better job with Moriarty than Seidel already does. And they start arguing, and Moriarty said, "Hey, y'all ain't gonna talk about me like I'm not here. Like, you want to talk about getting violent? Well, we can get violent." And then Danielson says, "Well, I'll see you in the ring next week." So I can't wait to see that match. That's Moriarty versus Danielson. That's some shit that's right up my alley. Like the technical. You get a short match between a tune-up match, more or less, for Britt Baker versus Robin Renegade. Robin Renegade is kind of decent. As a technical wrestler, her look, she doesn't stand out. But she absolutely knows what she's doing in the ring. When she was in there with Britt, and Britt can sometimes, kind of get lost. But I thought technically they put together a well-worked match, where Britt was the better wrestler and systematically shut her down. And I thought, Renegade did pretty well. And I thought that her, her running ropes and her striking was decent. But at the end, ultimately, Britt gets to win. She ends up winning with, I can't remember what she won with. Oh, she won with a curb stomp. After the match, I couldn't remember because I was like, didn't she put her in the lockjaw? After the match, Jamie was not out at ringside cornering Britt, but Rebel was. Rebel hands Britt the glove, and she slaps on the lockjaw. Out comes Thunder Rosa to break it up and put a beating on Britt, because Britt has made all these fucking Machiavellian plots to end Rosamania, or I'll say Thundermania to appease Rich. Thundermania, and the out comes Jamie to break it up, and then behind her also comes Mercedes to break it up, and they basically pull each other off each other to all get a piece of Thunder Rosa, and they're about to come to blows until Britt grabs them both in a unharmful side headlock on each arm, both of them, and kisses both of them on the forehead, like, calm down. I thought it was cute, but she has those two goons, those two thugs in the way of her and Rosa, and it's gonna be interesting to see how this all like breaks down, because like that ain't gonna last. That's a house of cards ready to just get tumbled over, and Thunder Rosa is gonna spark that shit just blowing up in Britt's face. So it's gonna be fun to see how that all unravels over the coming weeks. Next match after that, you end up getting. Oh, before we go to the next match, you get a video package with Layla Hirsch and Chris Statlander, where Layla Hirsch says, "Look, me and Statlander are different. We have different paths. I'm serious. I'm a more serious person because of my upbringing. Like I was left in an orphanage in Russia and before I came here. That's my upbringing. And it's Chris Statlander in the video where he gets to her point says, if you had this kind of attitude as a kid, then I'm not surprised that you were left up for adoption by your parents. And I was like, this is what we have babyfaces saying today? Like, her excuse better be that she's an alien. She didn't understand what the fuck an orphanage in adoption is. Cause boy, what an asshole. Like, such an asshole thing to say that the scum of the earth, MJF, liked a video of that tweet in approval of how evil a thing Chris Statlander said to this woman. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I understand people want to say, well, she's been jumping her. Of course, there's animosity. Yeah, I get that, but y'all were like friends a few weeks ago. Like, how did it go so far south so quick? Like, god damn. Like, I understand she attacked you. Just beat her ass. Get it back in blood, right? Like, you had to say that to her? Damn, you mean. So, next match after that, squash match. You got Hook versus a new, trainee in the factory named Blake Lee. Hook just basically threw him around, showed off some technical stuff that looked really nice. Showed his athleticism, showed his explosiveness, and the only time Blake Lee even got anything in his match was off a distraction from QT Marshall. Lee tried to take advantage of it and went with a second rope like crossbody or splash, and Hook just moved out the fucking way like you fucking geek. Like, you basically pulled the Samoa Joe / Harley Race style move, and then he just slapped on the Taz mission or Red Rum and got the win. So then after that, you end up getting the Jurassic Express versus Gun Club match. I do not like the Ass Boys, but I will give them credit. They have instincts, and their wrestling and transitions are there. The problem that they have is that they suck at striking, both of them. I think that Colton is better than Austin, but it's not that much of a difference. They're kind of the same guys. It also doesn't help that they came out more or less wearing the same exact gear. I understand that it's a tag team, but like, can you give me a different scheme and just keep, or a different design but keep like the same color scheme? Whatever. The Jurassic Express, like, they worked their ass off to get this match over, but like, no one's buying that there's going to be a title change. And they did a lot of Codyism in this match. Like, there's a distraction, ref distraction. There's a belt shot. There is, Colton being chokeslammed into a crowd of plants outside on the by the barricade. There is managers getting involved where Colton is trying to steal a win with using the ropes as leverage, and Christian breaks up the pin by pushing his feet off, which sends Billy Gunn to then grab Christian off of the apron and then throw him into steel steps. There's Christian later, after the choke slam out into the plants, getting his revenge on Billy Gunn with a spear. And then by the end, you have Jungle Boy hitting a kill switch on Austin Gunn, getting the win. Which, gotta say, if you getting finished with kill switches, you're a fucking geek. Like, I'm sorry, like, I don't remember Christian beating anybody with a kill switch when I was a kid, watching an Attitude Era. in 2011 when he became the champion, and then had those awesome matches with Randy Orton in the summer of 2011. Like, I don't recall him ever actually hitting the kill switch on Randy Orton. He kept always escaping it. And then, you know, after that, his career was, you know, semi-retired to retired, and he was never actually hitting the kill switch to beat people with it. It was always just a teased finish that people always escaped. And then, like, you know, watch the stardom in 2019, like Saiki Kashima, like the geek of the adults, the prelimmer, like her actual finish is a kill switch. Nobody gets beat with a kill switch. Like, nobody respectable gets beat with a kill switch. So, you know, I get it. Like, you know, that's the person that's mentoring you, but like, I'd rather see the Thoracic Express, just to be honest with you. Just gotta be honest with you. But it was a good match. I wouldn't say great, wouldn't say very good, but I would say it was a good match, especially given the lack of experience from the Gun Club. I think they might have something. Like, will they be an upper tag team in 5 years? I seriously doubt it, but they're not bad. They're not bad. I think they're just more annoying than bad, but, you know, whatever. But yeah, in terms of the One Nation Radio Awards that we had planned for today, we're going to do them later this week. I think the day was Thursday, but we'll see how that goes. But yeah, thanks for listening, y'all. No stardom this week. We'll get to it next week. In previews for the pay-per-view this next week. But thanks for listening, y'all. Be sure to rate us on whatever app you're using. Listen to this with. Go to our Red Circle and hit us up with a donation. And listen to the other shows on the network. Besides One Nation Radio, we have Keepin It Strong Style, the Ricky Clive Wrestling Show, Grown Men Watch This Shit, the Grave Consequences Podcast, 8-Bit Suplex, All Things Elite, Great Match Generator, and AEW Match Guide. Thanks for listening, y'all. Later.